Hello guys, welcome to our updated baseball videos. Today we're going to be going over fielding with no runners on. Okay, so make sure that we're paying attention, take notes, ask questions if you guys need to, okay? All right, so first we're going to go ahead and start off with little dribblers that get hit inside the infield, okay? Now, what does that mean? It means little balls that are going ahead and getting hit by the batter, and they usually end up on the inside of the infield, right? Either in front of third, the catcher, towards the pitcher, even towards first, or if it gets behind the pitcher, right, towards shortstop or second. That means not very hard hit balls, right? What we need to focus on with little dribblers is that we need to make sure that you guys are communicating with each other on who's going to get it, but still need to go for it. Okay, now what does that mean? That means that if the ball's getting hit to the pitcher, right, and it's a little dribbler that ends up here, the pitcher can communicate that he's going to still get the ball, right? But we also want to make sure that he has a nice backup by shortstop also coming in, okay? That's what we mean. Communicate on who's getting the ball, but still go for it, okay? Right here in between third and shortstop, communicate who's going to get the ball. Both people should still be going for it, okay? Obviously, if we know here between first and pitcher, right, we need to make sure that there's good communication there on who's going to be going for it. And if first gets dragged away too much, pitcher needs to go ahead and cover first. Or if pitcher is able to grab the ball, then he needs to communicate to the first baseman that he has it and that he's going to be able to make the play at first, okay? What we don't want is the ball getting hit somewhere around here, no communication going on, or there is communication, but someone isn't able to get it and they don't have a backup, okay? In this scenario, the backup would obviously be second, which is right here behind both the pitcher and the first baseman, and he's able to go ahead and back up whoever can't make the play, okay? Now, a reminder, this is with no runners on, okay? No runners on, which means none of the infielders have a responsibility to stay near their base, okay? Except for the exception of first base, right? And maybe second base in case there's an overthrow, okay? Our primary backup in the outfield is going to be right field, okay? He's going to come around and back up behind first in case there is that overthrow, okay? We want to make sure that we're making that play at first, and in case there's an overthrow, right field is going to go ahead and be backing up that throw, okay? Also, when there's nobody on, right? No runners on, we also want catcher to make his way back here as well, okay? This would be in the case of ball gets hit to shallow right field, right? Right field, we're going to try and make that play to first, especially if it's shallow right field. And then we want that catcher to start making his way over here to first so that way he's in line for the backup throw. Okay, now we're talking about regular hit balls, okay? So if the ball gets hitting to the left side, right, if it's either going to be towards third base or towards shortstop, again, we want that good communication on who's going to go ahead and get it, but we want to make sure that both players are still going for it, okay? Third baseman says, I got it. He's going to get the ball, right? He's going to go ahead and try and play that. Shortstop's coming around for the backup, right? Other way around as well. Shortstop says, I got it. He's going to play the ball. Third baseman, make sure that we're going ahead and backing up, okay? Now, our outfield backup is going to be left field, right? They need to be making their way towards the ball as soon as that ball gets hit, okay? Not after it gets past both of our infield. As soon as that ball gets hit and it's a grounder, left field needs to be playing that ball as if it's going to get past them, okay? We can't wait until it gets past them and then chase after it. Make sure that we're playing that ball ready to go in case it does, okay? Okay, ball gets hit to right side, right? Let's say it gets hit in between first and second. We want to make sure that both players are going for that ball, okay? Now, what we don't want to happen is it be hit a little bit closer to first. First says, oh, I shouldn't be playing that ball because it's too far away from me. I'm going to let second get it, okay? Then what happens? Second doesn't get it, and then it gets into the outfield, okay? Ball gets hit right here in the middle. Both players need to be going for it because there's no runners on. We have our pitcher being able to cover first, okay? Again, our backup is going to be right field, making sure that they're playing that ball as soon as it gets hit, not until after it gets past our infield. As soon as that ball gets hit, make sure our right field is coming down to play that ball as backup, and we're having our catcher coming around to first to make sure they're backing up that throw as well, okay? Ball gets hit to pitcher. It's pretty easy, right? Pitcher is going to do their best to go ahead and try and field it. They're going to make that play at first. We have our backups of catcher and right field coming around to first base and making sure that we're there for the backup in case it's overthrown. And I have two players here, shortstop and second, that are backing up the hit right behind the pitcher, right? They're playing that ball as if it's going to get past them, not wait until after. And then we have center field as a third, or as a second backup as well, okay? Ball gets up the middle. We have four players here that should be able to make a play on the ball. All right, so now runner's on. Let's say ball gets hit over here to left field, okay? Obviously, left fielder is going to go ahead and have the best angle to go ahead and field that ball. Backing up left field is going to be center field, right? Center field, we're not going towards the ball. We're going to be go ahead and taking a flatter angle to make sure that we're backing up in case left field isn't able to get it, okay? After that, we're going to be trying to cut off the runner here at 2, okay? Now, with that being said, we got to think about where the ball is traveling, okay? Since the ball is now traveling in this direction towards 2, our best backup is going to go ahead and be this right fielder that comes in and plays backup in case there's an overthrow, okay? First baseman's obviously still covering at first. And also we're going to go ahead and have second right here, making sure that they're receiving the ball and checking the runner, okay? Now, what happens if the ball gets hit deep, right? Obviously, left fielder's going for it. Center fielder's going for it, okay? And because it's a deep ball, right? A longer throw. Our shortstop is heading out here, and they're going to be our cut, right? Yelling cut, cut, cut. And then we're going to cut the runner off here at second where second baseman is covering, okay? Same thing. We want right field creeping in case there's an overthrow and he's able to help out at any point. First baseman staying at first. Catcher's making his way over here, okay? Then third baseman is going to hang tight on third base. Right? Pitcher's also going ahead and making sure that if they can make a play or if it's an overthrow, they're looking for the ball coming in. All right. So now ball gets hit, shallow center, right? Now this one's going to be a pretty big judgment call, okay? As soon as center fielder is able to grab that ball, right, it really depends on how fast this runner is going, okay? We need to make sure that we're looking at the runner as soon as we do that, right? Because if this run, as soon as we get the ball, if this runner is already right here, right, about to get to first, we don't want to risk making that throw, right, if he's going to be safe and then having it possibly be an overthrow, okay? But if the runner has like a Madden speed of like 20 and he's like right there, right, we're going to be able to make that play at first, okay? So if we are making that play at first, right, making sure right field is coming around, backing up, making sure that we have catcher backing up as well, okay? Center field is going to go ahead and get that ball, right? They shouldn't need a cut from second. We're going to try and make that play all the way to first base.
Yeah, if you need a cut, don't make that throw.
Yeah, if you need a cut to make it to first, then don't even throw it, right? This is a very quick, it's a very heads-up play. And like I said, unless that kid is probably way back here when by the time we get that ball, or if that ball gets hit hard and quick enough to where the center field is right there and able to grab it like almost immediately, then we could go ahead and make that play. All right. All right, little different, right? Deep center. Obviously, center field is going to go ahead and get that ball. We also want left field all the way coming in and helping them out in any way, okay? In this case, right, we're going to want to make sure that we're cutting the runner off at second. We'll have second base go out and get the ball. Shortstop's covering, right? First baseman stay home, pitcher stay home. And right fielder, we can creep in a little bit, but the person that's going to be backing up in the best position is going to be our pitcher right here, right? Just turn around, making sure that we're aware of where the ball's coming in from. We don't want to be so close, right, that if that ball gets behind our shortstop, that we're not able to react quickly, right? We want to make sure that we keep a decent enough distance so that way we're going to be able to react to the ball in case it gets over our shortstop and make that play back at second. All right. Ball gets hit. No runners on. Shallow right. Right fielder, right? Coming up on that ball hard. Making sure that we field that and we get a nice, quick, clean throw all the way to first. Okay? First baseman should be paying attention, right? to where that ball lands, and making sure they're stepping at the correct spot to make sure that we get that play as quickly as possible. Okay, again, catcher coming around, they're going to be in the best position to make that throw, or to make up that backup catch. Okay, now notice how I drew this line, right? Not straight down the line, right? We want to take a little bit of a wider angle, because why? If we line up where that right fielder is making that throw, we want to make sure that we're in line with that throw in order to back it up. Okay? Want to make sure that we're in line with that throw. Okay? Center field, obviously coming across, making sure that we're backing up the ball in case it gets past our right fielder. And that's about it.
If it's initially a hard hit ground ball first base, doesn't mean you just give up and go to cover your bag. You should still try and go for the ball first. But if it gets by you, that's when you can't give up, and you need to realize that right field's going to be backing you up, and you need to go cover the bag.
Right. That's very important. That's a very important point. Okay. First baseman is still going for that ball, but this is why it's very important that right field, as soon as that ball gets hit, is when you come up and try and play it. Okay. You don't wait until it gets past first baseman. As soon as that ball gets hit, you are coming up as if you're going to go ahead and play that, because that's going to go ahead and allow us to make that play here at first, right? Ball gets hit. It takes time to get there, right? Then it takes time to get here. Then it takes time to realize it. And then before you know it, we've wasted too much time getting after the ball, and we can't even make the play at first, okay? Outfielders need to make sure that as soon as that ball gets hit, even if it's a grounder, especially if it's a grounder, we are making our way towards that ball no matter what. All right, ball gets hit deep right? Making sure that right field is going ahead and covering that ball. Center field coming in with the backup, okay? Catcher, now that this angle is a little bit sharper now, right? Catcher's able to come straight down the line and back up the throw in case we go ahead and make it to first, okay? Now, again, we're checking the runner in this instance, right? If that runner is already pretty close to the base, we're not making that play, okay? Instead, what we're going to be doing is cutting him off at second, right? Second baseman, going out, making sure that we're being that cut man, yelling cut, 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 and shortstop's right here covering second baseman, okay? Making sure that we get left field coming in to back up that throw to second base. Everyone else is staying home, right? Boom. We want to make sure that left field takes that angle to where right field, when they make that throw, they're going to be in line with that throw, ready to back up, okay? Pitcher as well, making sure that you turn around and look for the ball there, right? Be active, not just staying up on the mound. All right, so let's go over bunt defense really quick, okay? Now, there's two scenarios that we have, okay? Number one, if the player shows bunt, right? If the player is showing bunt, then we need to be communicating that to our whole team, right? Our whole entire team should be yelling bunt, 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 bunt. And if that happens, well, third baseman should be crashing in. First baseman should be crashing in as well, okay? Shortstop's moving over to cover. Second is moving over to cover, okay? It should be a whole infield movement if they're showing bunt, right? Communicating and moving, okay? That way, if that bunt makes its way down towards left, right, third baseman is able to grab it. Obviously, if that ball goes left, first baseman knows to go back and be ready to cover, make that play there, okay? Opposite side, crashing in, bunt, 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 ball gets hit right. Well, then first baseman's right there to go ahead and field it. Second baseman should already be over and be able to make the play here at first, okay? Or pitcher.
Which is why communication is so important with bunt.
Okay, we got to make sure that we're communicating that. Okay, now our second scenario.
The reason why shortstop is supposed to move this way is because if this guy decides to not bunt at the last second and third base has already crashed in, he might not have time to back up in time. Shortstop needs to be able to try and cover all this.
Okay, continue on with bunt. Right, if the bunt gets anywhere within the immediate area of home plate, right in front of the catcher, catcher knows that he's going to go ahead and try and make that play, to get after it and make that play over here to first, right? Same thing if the bunt heads directly back to the pitcher, grab that ball, make that play right here at first, okay? Now, the other scenario is if the batter does not show bunt, right? Which means that they're in a stance, and then at the last second they go ahead and make that and then lay down the bunt. Well, then we go back to what we talked about at the beginning of the video about little dribble hits, right? You guys just need to go ahead and making sure that we're communicating that no matter wherever that ball gets hit, we're communicating, we're getting after it, and making sure that we make that play at first, okay?
Make sure that if it comes down to between the catcher or the pitcher getting the ball, catchers, you're normally right-handed, you're in a better position to grab that ball and go to first with it than a pitcher who has to come down, grab the ball, and turn his whole body around to make that throw. You guys can quickly grab, turn, and throw.
All right. One last thing I want to go over in regards to bunting and little dribble hits as well is that balls that get hit down the line, right? You want to make sure that you gauge the speed at which that ball gets hit, okay? If that ball is a slow-moving ball, right, we don't want to go ahead and waste time to decide on where that's going to go. So making sure that we get after that ball and make that play, okay? If that ball does get hit, right, and you do start to see it roll out, right, then that's when you're going to be able to go ahead and let it play out a little bit, okay? And let it play out fair, making sure that we wait until it does go foul to make sure that we get that call, okay?
Once the ball is officially foul, right, not on the line, we've learned the hard way, you can't trust umps. You got to let it, make sure it's past the line, the chalk line. Once it's foul, pick it up. That way it can't roll back in.
All right. Now, before we move on, okay, we need to make sure that we go over drop, strike, 3. Okay? Now, drop, strike, 3 is the important things that we want to make sure that we go over, okay, is that a drop, strike, 3 can happen whether you swing or not, okay? Which means you don't need to go ahead and swing on the third strike for it to count as a drop, strike, 3. As long as the catcher drops that ball or it hits the ground, you are allowed to go ahead and head towards first. Okay. Obviously, we can't continue on to first if it's occupied, but you are allowed drop, strike, 3 on 2 exceptions. Okay. On if there's 2 outs and if there's bases loaded. Okay. So if there's drop, strike, 3 and there's 2 outs or there's bases loaded, it doesn't matter if there's somebody on first. You guys can still go for it. Okay.
With that being said, if the bases are loaded and we have drop, strike, 3, catcher, the easiest play to make is to just stand on home plate and then go to 1 with it. Right?
All right.
Also, when we say if first base is occupied, it's occupied when the pitch is thrown. So even if there's a runner on first and they took off for second on that very pitch that ends up being a drop, third strike, it doesn't matter. They were on first and first base was occupied when the pitch was thrown. And that's what matters.
All right. So drop, strike, 3 does happen, right? It's going to be catcher's responsibility to go ahead and get that ball, okay? If that ball gets hit drop, strike, 3 happens right in front of the catcher, we want to make sure that we're communicating with our first baseman, right? If we're going to cover the inside of the bag or if that ball gets behind the catcher, if we're going to cover on the outside, okay? That's what we're doing the whole inside and outside, right? So that way we're not throwing across the runner's lane.
First base needs to be the one. Okay, you need to see where your catcher is at, right? There's an imaginary line just like this. If the ball's over on this side, right? You know inside, inside. Because look, you're not crossing the baseline. If the ball is on this side, you know outside, outside. And you need to be yelling So that way the catcher already knows where he's going with it, because when he gets up with the ball, we might only have another second or two. And just like how we've been doing, right field is coming right in to back up, just in case there's any overthrow.
Okay. All right. Make sure you guys go ahead and check out our next video. We're going to be covering how to play defensively with a runner on first. Okay.